if you are a buyer of a single option, which most of us start off with as beginners, we start off with buying a call option because that translates the most to us buying shares, right? If you buy shares in a company, you want it to go up, and that's how you win. If it goes down, you lose, and it's simple for us because we've been drilled that for most of our lives. The call option mirrors that the most because you buying something, the most you can lose is what you paid. And if it goes up, that's when you think you can win. The call is a little bit more challenging than that because it can go up and you can still lose. That doesn't happen with stocks because stocks don't have time decay. Talk about this. So at the Dorian Trader, everyone, we consider the basics centered around three pillars that you have to master. If you master these three pillars, it's going to pay huge dividends in your understanding of options, your understanding of all the different type of strategies, your understanding of risk management, your understanding of how to grow your account. The basics of options are that important. So the first pillar is what we're going to be talking about this morning, and that's what is the call and the put and what's happening when you buy and sell a call and a put. The second pillar is what we're going to be talking about next Monday, and that's the options chain, right? Because that's where you buy and sell calls and puts and understand your probabilities of success. And then the third pillar is understanding some basic or understanding the basic option strategies, because if you understand those, you'll be able to understand all the different type of strategies and that are tramped up because they're just deviations from the basic strategies. Tomorrow during the morning call, Owanza is going to be talking about one of those basic strategies, and that's the put spread, the bull put spread, which is my favorite strategy, and you'll be able to understand why tomorrow. But starting with this first pillar, understanding what is a call and a put, and what's happening when you buy and sell a call and put. We've been using this same image for several years now that Danielle created for us to help people visually see what's happening when buying and selling calls and puts. Okay? And so I like to say that it's only two type of options, right? It's either a put or it's a call. And if it stopped there, it would be really, really simple, right? It would be really simple for us all to kind of grasp because we're just dealing with a put or a call. Right? But where it starts to get a tiny bit more confusing is that, okay, a call or a put represents 100 shares if you're trading stock options. You guys know we don't just trade stock options here at the Dorian Trader. We trade options on futures as well. And it doesn't necessarily mean that. It doesn't mean that at all because on futures market, you do not have shares. Okay? So that becomes a little confusing. And so options have expiration dates. Every option has an expiration date. An option can expire today, right? Like that 0DT trade we just put on, or it can expire tomorrow, or it can expire years from now. Right? Sometime Ernie will put on a trade that's 2 years out. Options are unique because it's always going to be an expiration date. Time is always ticking away when you're dealing with options. And so because of that, you have this built-in leverage with options. And so that's why it's important to kind of understand what's happening when you are the buyer and when you're the seller. Is time your ally or is time your enemy, your foe? You have to understand that when you're trading options. If you don't, you're going to be already on the negative side because you're not going to realize that you're going to have to take off some options. You're going to have to, remove some risk at certain time frames. So here at the Dorian Trader, we like to break it down with an analogy. Right? It's several different analogies or at least a few that we primarily use. We talk about the insurance company that you guys have heard, and we'll talk about that in a second. We talk about the casino, and we talk about the landlord. Right? Those are the kind of the three major analogies we kind of express here at the Dorian Trader. As for the insurance company, options re- kind of relate or mirror the insurance world almost step by step or point by point. If you are the buyer of an option, you're like the person going to their insurance company to buy a policy. You're going to Geico to buy a car policy, for example. When you buy that policy does not exist yet. It does not exist. Geico has to create that policy out of thin air, and then you have to agree on that policy, which is a contract, and that's what options are. They're contracts. And for that contract to be completed, you have to dish out some monies. You have to dish out what is called premium. Same type of terminology we use here in the options world. You have to dish out premium if you're buying a call or if you're buying a put. You are the person buying insurance, and so intuitively you already understand that the odds are against you if you are the buyer of an insurance policy. And that's the same concept in the options world. If you are a buyer of a single option, which most of us start off with as beginners, we start off with buying a call option because that translates the most to us buying shares. Right? If you buy shares in a company, you want it to go up, and that's how you win. If it goes down, you lose, and it's simple for us because we've been drilled that for most of our lives. The call option mirrors that the most because you buying something, the most you can lose is what you paid, and if it goes up, that's when you think you can win. The call is a little bit more challenging than that because it can go up and you can still lose. That doesn't happen with stocks because stocks don't have time decay. Options have time decay. So if you buy a call and you're expecting something to go up, even if you bought a call in the money, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make money because the move has to be great enough to supersede the time decay. So that's one of the unique things about buying options. Some people they got into buying options during the 2020 pandemic. They got sent home. This was the time they can jump into the markets. They jumped on a YouTube video and said, "Oh, I can buy a call." It's simple. They bought a call on whatever almost, and it went up, and everyone thought they were geniuses. Trust me, we were running the Dorian Trader at the time, and that was the case. Then in 2021, even though the market still went up in 2021, people started realizing you just can't buy calls and it always goes up. You can buy a call and still lose even though it went up. And that's when the frustration started to kick in. That's when the confusion and the realization that they needed to learn options. And so we started getting a lot of members because of that. Options are unique in that aspect. Very, very unique. So if you buy a call option, you want it to go up, as this arrow is indicating. You're bullish on the underlining, and monies are coming out of your account. Right? You want it to go up. If you buy a put option, you are bearish, and monies are coming out of your account, and you want it to go down, as this arrow is indicating. Now, this is where it really gets confusing for beginners and even some people that haven't learned options, the basics of options well enough. Is that you're buying something, right? Monies are coming out of your purse, coming out of your wallet, and you benefit from what you bought if it goes down. That is super confusing because it's counterintuitive to what we understand about things we can make money on that usually go up, right? If you buy a painting, you make money on a painting if it goes up. If you buy a stock, if it goes up, you make money. If you buy, even if you buy a kind of a vintage car, well, you make money because the value of it goes up. But in the put world, if you buy a put, you actually make money if it goes down, if that underlining goes down. but you're still the purchaser of insurance. You still have the odds against you. You're still the person going up against the house, going up against the casino. The odds are against you. Doesn't mean you shouldn't buy sometime, but here at the Dorian Trader, we understand probabilities, or we think we understand probabilities at a high level. So we're not primary buyers of options. We're primary option sellers. Do we buy? Absolutely. We just went over a lot of buying a second ago when we were looking at the different earnings plays. Outside of earnings plays, we do buy, but most of the time it's for hedging, right? Because we want to have the odds on our side the super majority of the time. And the way you have the odds on your side is that you become the casino. You become the insurance company. You become your own one woman or one man Geico. And you can literally do that in the open market, in the options world. You can literally do that by being on the right hand side of this image here. By being the seller, you become your own Geico. If you're the seller of options, which you can do that, right? Some people say, how can I sell something I do not own? Well, you can do it based on what I said earlier. The contract that you create is literally being created at that time. It's out of thin air. The option you sell does not exist. I know you see it on your options chain that you can click on the bid to sell, but that option does not exist yet until you sell it. Okay? Until you sell it. And when you're selling it, the other side is agreeing on the terms. They're agreeing to pay you X amount, which is the premium. They're agreeing that the expiration period is whatever it is. They're agreeing on the strike price and all the other different factors associated with that option. They're agreeing to that for that price, that premium. And you are now the insurance company. You now have an obligation. That negative word, right? It's got a negative connotation to it. An obligation. But I just said you are the casino, you are the insurance company. You do have an obligation, but the odds are so great on your side that that obligation is not a negative in this context. The casino has the obligation to pay you out if you win. That's their obligation. You playing the game of blackjack, you win a hand or two or three, they have the obligation to pay you out. The insurance company, you get in a wreck, they have an obligation to make you whole, meaning that to fix your car or give you a dollar amount that's equivalent to what your car was worth before the accident. That's the obligation. In the options world, your obligation is to either buy shares or sell shares. It's only two type of obligations when you're dealing with options on stock, okay? You either have to buy the shares, which can be one of the most conservative, not the most conservative strategy in options, period, but that's your obligation is to buy the shares, or you have the obligation to sell shares to someone, right? Sell it to the buyer of the call. So those obligations are formed when you are the seller of a call, you are bearish, you want the underlining to go down as this arrow is indicating, but you have an obligation to sell shares to the buyer if they exercise their right, right? So the buyer of a call is bullish and they want it to go up and they have a right to purchase. And the seller of a call is bearish and they have an obligation to sell. So if you're the buyer of something, it has to be a seller of what you're buying, right? If you're the seller of something, it has to be a buyer of what you're selling. Now, if you are the seller of a put, then you are bullish. You want it to go up. Someone's paying you monies into your account instantaneously, but you have the obligation to buy. You have the obligation to buy the shares. And this is what we call like cash secured puts. This is why this strategy can be the most safe strategy period in trading, because you can buy a stock for a discount and then you can hold it if you wanted to until it goes back up if it dropped. Okay? You don't have to wait you don't have to worry about time decay, I should say, if you own the shares. And so if you're the seller of the put, you have the obligation to buy the shares, to own the shares. If you are the buyer of the put, then you have a right to sell the shares. You have a right to sell. So you either have a right to sell as a put controller or the obligation to buy as the put seller. Okay. So as you can see here, you can be bearish or bullish using only a put, but it all depends on if you're buying the put, that's when you are bearish. When you are selling the put, that's when you are bullish. So you have to know when you are doing, what are you doing and what that represents. Same with the call, right? You can be bullish by being the buyer of the call, or you can be bearish by being the seller of the call. It all depends on what you're doing. The buyer has a right and the seller has an obligation. So on this side, this area here, these are rights. And then in this area here, these are obligations. You have to know what is your right as a buyer and what is your obligation as a seller. These are the basics of options regarding the first pillar. You can't get around this, you guys. The buyer of an option, let's say the call, the textbook definition, the buyer of the call has a right but not an obligation to purchase at a strike price. On the put side, the buyer of the put has the right to sell but not an obligation at the strike price. Okay? The seller of a call has the obligation to sell at the strike price. The seller of the put has the obligation to buy at the strike price. So let me repeat it one more time. Buyers have rights and sellers have obligations. But for us, we want to have obligations primarily because we are acting as the casino, we're acting as the insurance company. We have the odds on our side if we are the option seller. And you guys know here at the Dorian Trader, almost always we have a 85 or at least an 85% chance of winning at expiration from the stuff we sell. We want to have the odds on our side in a significant way.